What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, our Monday show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. It is damn near October. And if you don't have a Muskox flannel yet, or you want to look your best self, wherever you are, indoors, outdoors, in the great month of October, the pumpkins, the fall, the football, the tailgates, everything, enhance how you look, how you feel with a Muskox flannel. Go to gomuskox.com, where Couch and the Rube listeners can get $15 off a flannel purchase with a promo code PEACOCK. That's at gomuskox.com. Feel your best, look your best. I'm telling you, the difference between me with a Muskox and me without a Muskox, it's like model, hideous to model. Well, maybe not that much, but it'll do for you what has been a tremendous upgrade for me. Jason, how you doing, brother?
And the Cleveland Guardians are the American League Central Division champions. Oh, they really blew the division, dude. I had to take the glasses off. They really blew the division. It just hit me. They just blew the division.
Just hit him.
Oh, they really blew the division, man.
Yeah.
How did it just hit him there?
It just hit him right there when he was doing his post video. Hey, man, how's your blood money? Where's my $100? Aren't I supposed to get some money for your bet here? You going to be breaking that off to the listeners? I mean, what's happening here?
So I won $850 on the Guardians.
Yeah, we know.
The Guardians to win the division at 33 to 1 odds on October 6th.
We're aware.
I lost it all on Asian tennis last night. It's already gone.
Liar.
All of it. All of it.
Absolute liar.
Those
What
matches,
about that terrible six-way parlay?
Those matches are at 3, 4 in the morning.
That hit last weekend?
I did not.
Nah.
Well, the other Tottenham sucks. Just sucks in life. If you're a
So you
Tottenham
really
fan,
owe
suck.
the listeners here.
Not only that,
And you're going to claim that you lost it. We're not your wife. We don't believe anything you say.
anything else I had, I lost on USC at Illinois. So there's just nothing. And then the Packers,
Or the Colts plus 3.5.
yeah,
The Rams.
It was
Anybody going to guard Tutu Atwell? You MFers.
bloodbath.
Ah.
Bloodbath. Just can't.
Gambling's
Oh,
not
and then, bad beat of all bad beats.
Hmm.
I've got a live under on Penn State and Oregon at under 40.5. It's 3-3 at halftime. That should be your set. You're good. Overtime should not count.
Are we
unders,
officially
by the way.
done with Franklin? Right? I'm done.
No. Well, no.
Betting against him. I'm not
Well-
betting with James Franklin ever again.
But he didn't
Come
have the
on.
better team in this game. They came back. I mean,
No way.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear shit. Come on, James.
He's got to pick better quarterbacks is what he's got to do.
Oh, it's Aller's fault.
I think some of it is, yeah.
Mm.
I think, go back to, who was it, Christensen or the other guy he had? Who was the guy he had? It was the guy who was
Christian
a draft pick.
Hackenberg?
Hackenberg, that guy. Yeah. He seems to always have these guys who are like somehow propped up. I don't know who he pays off at Rivals and 24/7. These guys always suck. And then they're like, there's a high NFL draft pick. And all I can think of is I hope an NFL team I care about never drafts that guy. Because it just, go back to Kerry Collins. They're always overrated.
Is it Kerry Collins' fault
It's Kerry Collins'
for James
fault.
Franklin?
That's it.
It's not James Franklin's fault.
Not at all.
I love it.
Not at all.
I love that you're just defending coaches blindly.
Well,
Who's defending James Franklin on a Monday, especially if you gambled, if you had some money spring?
got to get revved up for the Joe Rossi conversation that people have here. I got to get myself ready to go and
That's
prepared.
True.
So
Got to be battle tested.
yes. So start with James Franklin, and you can defend anything. That's the way you go. It was an interesting weekend.
Yeah, how was your weekend away from the wife? You had fun?
It's good. It was good.
Yeah, sat there butt naked.
No, but
Had a couple edibles.
some of it was not fully clothed. But Saturday night, Matt Mencarini, my buddy, comes over. I've got 2 TVs. You know my TV setup.
Hell yeah, 2 monitors?
2 TVs in the back.
Wife's out of here.
Out back on the patio.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Muskox flannel. And I'll tell you what, the one thing Xfinity does.
Nobody here to tell me what to do.
I got the multi-view during the day on Xfinity, but then at night, 2 separate TVs. Got the Penn State Oregon game on one. I've got Georgia Alabama on the other. We're just sitting out there. enjoying ourselves. And when you have Xfinity Stream, like it just, we're streaming both games next to each other. Works great with Xfinity Internet. In fact, I had to up my Xfinity package for Matt Mancarini because I needed an earlier game, and he showed up the Tennessee-Mississippi State game. Called like 5 minutes before he was supposed to show up when I realized I didn't have the SEC network. Boom, they gave it to me right away. Got a better deal than I even previously had. So that might be your experience too.
Oh.
If you go to Xfinity.com, type in your address. You can see the greatest offers. But I tell you what, I
forgot this was a live read.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, he's pretty passionate about being home by himself.
But they were great in their customer service, their ability to give me without. And the big thing they had to do.
So you called up and ordered one game?
I called up and ordered. No, I ordered. I needed a package, a level that had the SEC network.
Gotcha.
And I needed to do it without somehow losing Turner Classic Movies, because our whole cable bit is based on my wife's aunt and uncle who live in a retirement village in East Lansing, being able to stream.
Village?
Well, in a night, it's a cool place. It's that place. It's right. People
community.
know it. It's a great new big white building. Anyway, they live over there. The one thing there that they love, that their package would over there, they do not have Xfinity. They can't get Turner Classic Movies and that's what they live for. So like most of the time we go over there to fix something, it's because somehow their cable is not jiving with what we've given them. So we need them to be able to log in ours to watch Turner Classic Movies. I had to make sure that didn't get screwed up, and it did not. So props to Xfinity. Again, Xfinity.com, and type in your address to see the best deals for you.
Man.
Yeah. How's that?
That's a roller coaster of a live read. So does that mean to answer my question, you had a good weekend without the wife then? Did you do anything that you normally don't do when she's there, right? Like, because that's the big thing. It's like, oh, you want your wife gone. It's like, no, it's like I love my wife. Like I'm talking about T, but when she's gone, and I really don't do much out of the ordinary, but it is just nice to know there's no one else in the house, no one coming home,
It was just the amount of sporting events and the idea that I had, I still did things like mow the lawn and did the dishes. I still tried to do some productive things, but it was the ability to go from you
saved them to the end, didn't you?
Arsenal-Newcastle match to the Lions game, to the Tigers game, to the Ravens versus Chiefs, to the
Ryder
Cincinnati.
Cup. This guy doesn't mention the Ryder Cup once.
Cincinnati, Orlando FC, straight to Sunday Night Football. Little Ryder Cup in there, here and there, just to check out what the fans are doing. Yeah. So
sprinkle it all in.
Yeah. Well, let's. We've got a good show, some great listener takes, and we've got time, I think, to get to all of them. So I'm excited about that.
Maybe
we'll see. But let's start with ours. Jason, what's your lead take?
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Tigers gambling update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
I mean, besides your bet, how are you feeling? I mean, if you were a Detroit Tiger fan,
no, I wanted to lose the bet. I didn't. But first of all, I had them.
I don't think the Tigers wanted you to lose the bet, though.
No, they didn't.
The way that no Riley Green,
I had them to win the division in another bet from the whole season, so I would have been okay. Like I did. Well,
you have bets everywhere.
I did not want to lose, or I did not want to win that bet. It is. It's not like that. It's not like you put a lot on it. It's not like I had 1,000 riding on it. I had $25, and it's great to win a little money. But I did not want. I didn't want the Tigers collapse to happen. That was,
no. But I mean, to make the playoffs, it is a kind of a bittersweet feeling, and to watch the players and AJ Hinch and the coaches celebrate with champagne. I don't know. I've never been put in a scenario as a fan like this before, and that is one of the reasons why I hate this 2025 Tigers team, because they have done this to me. And to watch them celebrate, and I'm sitting there wondering, why are you guys celebrating? You barely backed into the playoffs when you should have won the AL Central that the Guardians are going to play, and now you're playing a motherfucking playoff game on a Tuesday at 1 o'clock, and now I'm supposed to be happy. So then I'm like, well, maybe they said it to the media. Maybe the players were like apologetic, and in the media they were like, oh man, the fans, I'd like to just apologize to you guys. We put you through that. Not once, unless I missed something here, Graham, because AJ Hinch, our guys, earned this celebration. We were able to withstand a really tough stretch. Scott Harris, this young group learned how to bend, not break. Javi Baez, this is the beginning of the end. This is when we got to be locked in. Not one mention of, hey, guys, I thank all of our fan base for grinding through this season of the ups and downs. We apologize for being so many games up in the AL Central, and we ended up blowing it and putting you through all this agony to the point where you actually hate your favorite team. I'm sorry we put you guys through that. Now we're going to go get drunk because this has sucked the past 3 weeks. I think that's how you handle the fan base instead of keep stringing us along and, yay, we're playing the Guardians for 3 games straight in their house, and Scooble's not going to be back ever again, and I don't even know if this team, if they can do anything in the playoffs. But then you get told, hey, but this team could get hot. You don't know what happens in the playoffs. Anything could happen.
Baseball.
So now I'm roped into this thing. You know what I mean? So I'm just annoyed. I love my favorite teams. But you cannot say as a Detroit Tiger fan that you're not annoyed with this team right now. I'm ready to cheer tomorrow. But, man, it's always going to be in the back of my head throughout this whole playoffs, however far they make it. It's like, you guys did this to us.
Baseball needs the Tigers to lose in the postseason. Because if this Tigers team, which is not a very good team, I thought Cody Stavenhagen, our friend from The Athletic, did a good piece on the correlation between Javi Baez's success and the team's success. And he had that great start to the year, right, when the Tigers were great. And like his average in their 73 or in the 73 victories he played in, 296, 815 OPS. And the 51 losses he played in, 191 batting average OPS.
He ran out of steroids.
And so, but point is, I mean, it's Javi being, he can still have moments, and we saw that in the final game where he hits a 3-run homer. And I still, in the postseason, which is partly about moments, you want a Javi Baez in the lineup, right? But over the course of a season, at this point, you know, a good Javi Baez is partly a mirage. He had a better year than usual. And the Tigers just aren't that good. If the Tigers were to win the World Series, just end the regular season. I mean, what the hell's the point? It's less useful than hockey.
Say that.
It's just pointless. And so the baseball can't have that, or they're just wasting time in the regular season. The Tigers are not
crazy.
The Tigers are not that good. The thing that I am more, once they could no longer be a top 2 seed, which they were pretty comfortably most of the season, and have that bye so they wouldn't play till next Saturday, and they could set up their pitchers. Everybody gets a rest. You wouldn't be resting guys at the end here. Once they lost that, I didn't care if they won the division. You're still playing this week in a best-of-3 series. You'd blown what was a huge lead. I didn't care at all. So to me, that was a big part of it. But the Tigers overall just aren't that good. And I think this could be the best of both worlds. And the idea that they fell apart enough, and everybody knows it. And everybody knows they're not that good. Everybody knows their middle-of-the-order hitters aren't that good. They fell apart enough to know a lot of work needs to be done, and some changes need to happen. But they didn't fall apart so much that they don't even get to take part in October.
What kind of changes? I don't know if they think that any change. I mean, that's the thing. If they would have backed into the AL Central, won that, bad baseball happens. They would have moved on to it. So maybe losing the Central, but I don't think that's going to change Scott Harris, anyone's mentality.
So Riley Green and Torkelson should be 6 and 7 hitters. And so that's the thing I've come to. Riley Green is not a star. And I'm glad in some ways we talked about, they should pay. I'm glad they haven't paid him yet, because he shouldn't be paid like a star. And those are the guys that, I'm not saying you have to get rid of him.
He struck out a lot, but I mean, he's out, especially in the outfield, made some great plays defensively.
No doubt. He's basically
a great hitter, I think.
He's a good outfielder, and he's Rob Deere at the plate. And I don't think he's a great hitter. I think he strikes out too much. I think he strikes out in big moments. I don't think he's a great hitter. And I don't think he's a middle of the lineup hitter. And I think that's shown itself. Not on an elite team. He can't be one of your best few guys. I think that's really shown itself this year.
I disagree with that. But.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we always come around. I came around on Jared Goff. Maybe I'll come around on Riley Green. It sometimes happens.
I mean, listen, it's hard to argue when a guy strikes out that much to sit there and defend him to the end. I'm not going to battle you for it, but I just think Riley Green can be a cornerstone of your offense. He's just got to cut back on the strikeouts, maybe change some things in his swing. I don't know. But I just think that he's a guy definitely that's a part of your core. Torque, on the other hand, I don't know. He just puts you through so many droughts, and then he comes back, and you're like happy for Torque and yay because he's got that face with no facial hair on it. You're like, look at Torque. I gotta love Torque. But then he'll go through 70 games and look at the stats. I mean, if you're going to be hard on Javi, who put up historically bad numbers last year, I mean, you got to be hard on Torque and some of these
Javi
guys.
is what he is, though. He's not really part of the future other than his contract.
Sure.
He's an older guy. You know, like,
but I'm saying we had him, and then we kept him throughout the offseason. You know, like we were like, there's no way you can bring Javi back, even though you owe him money, you pay him to go away, and then he's an all-star at center field, and you go, wait, what the hell? And that's my other point about this Tigers team being the most frustrating team I've ever had to root for in my 46 years of watching sports, by the way. To say that to sound important. You know what I mean? I just have never been a part of a team where I'm like, this team can't do shit. Wait, what? They got the best record in the AL? Oh, okay. Then, you know, they blow the AL Central lead, and I'm like, this is the most devastating I've ever been as a fan. And then, you know, hey, no, all right, let's celebrate. We backed into the playoffs.
No, the way they played against, like, the Marlins versus the Yankees in the course of a week is just summarizes this team, right? It's like 1 minute you're like, oh, my gosh, this team's got a shot. And then the next minute you're like, team's horrible. And they don't have enough to.
Well, even a couple of weeks ago we talked about it when they were 10-1 to win the World Series, and I was like, they could be 100-1 right now. What's the difference? I don't believe in this team going to the World Series.
I'd put a little on 100-1. That's pretty good odds. But yes,
you know what I
mean.
I know what
you mean.
10-1, 100-1 back then. It's
Correct.
Like now
Correct.
I don't. I mean, really, honestly, we trust this team against Cleveland.
I don't. And
God, I don't want to watch Quan again.
What they need to do, obviously, I know they got some huge prospects coming up, and maybe one of them will be a big star. And part of their issue is, I think from a timeline perspective, they're on a couple different timelines, right? You've got some guys they're really intrigued about that they want to see, and their stars are not on the roster because Scooball's probably not going to be on the roster after next year. They don't have a star in their lineup. They have some good players, and so they need either to just sign one, trade for one,
or
Carpenter one of those guys, or play Carpenter every day,
right,
or teach him to hit lefties or whatever it is that he can't do. All right, my first take. Little college football this weekend.
Do we need spin zone?
No.
Is it Boston College lost to Cal, who was shut out by San Diego State 34-0? Or are we just not going to talk about that?
So it was funny because one of our listeners, somebody I correspond with a fair bit, Dan Grafe, who's got a comment on, got a take in today's show.
Hopefully we'll get to it.
He asked me how I was going to spin this because this whole show. I'm working on it. But it is interesting because the transitive property in college sports is a complete failure a lot. It is either a complete failure in this case or Michigan State's in big trouble. So, and it may be a failure because it is often a failure. Like Indiana that looked so amazing a week before really struggled against Iowa. And a lot of things are matchups, and Iowa's defense is, I think, legitimately pretty good. They just can't run away from you offensively. Illinois got pounded. They got healthy in the secondary. Often we don't know a lot of other people's injuries. They play a game at noon that's 9 a.m. USC's time. USC doesn't look like the same team, and Illinois wins on a last-second field goal. But then there's this Boston College team that's just completely – and I know they've had some injuries too, but they completely have – the wheels have fallen off a little bit. So that's what makes this weekend so interesting. I think if you're Michigan – what we have to learn about Michigan State is going to have to be Michigan State on the field itself. And I do think this weekend against Nebraska on the road is a little telling. They're an 11.5 point underdog against a team that didn't win up front very often against Michigan, but it was a competitive game, obviously. But Michigan's a good team at the line of scrimmage. So the question is exactly what is Nebraska? We don't know. But it should not be a team. If Michigan State's going to have a decent season, this should not be a game that's not competitive. They don't win at Nebraska. That doesn't say that they can't have a decent year. It is a game that's I think more winnable than some others maybe. But
can they get to the quarterback?
Yeah, can they disrupt Raiola? Can they offensively, if I think they're going to be healthier defensively if Marsh is at 100%, can they get rolling offensively coming off a bye? Now Nebraska's coming off a bye too, so they'll probably be healthier as well. But I think this is telling because the transitive property of things is not great. What we've seen from the teams that Michigan State has faced and have gone on to play, for the most part, is not good. But that's
is it
also
possible that Michigan State breaks teams, though? You play Michigan State, and then the next couple weeks, you're like,
I think with
devastated.
I think with USC, so I think there are some things in play that are potentially where the transitive property fails. You play a late night game, and this happened to Michigan State last year, playing like the late night game and then flying out to Oregon for a Friday night game. Essentially, that's what happened to USC. You play the late night game, and then you're playing a noon game the next weekend. Everybody's telling you how great you are, that you're back. Illinois, on the flip side, goes through this week where they finally get some guys back. They had some injuries in the secondary. All week people are telling them they're shit, and they're saying, we're going to prove we're not the team last week. They had a chip on their shoulder. They're at home, and they were able to beat USC. And then Indiana, meanwhile, everybody's telling them that they're the lords of all creation. And I think physically Indiana's just okay. I think they've got some real talent, but you see what Iowa can do to them sort of at the line of scrimmage and stuff to keep the game close. I think there are elements of what happened that don't mean Michigan State's awful. The bottom line, though, is if you can't disrupt the quarterback's timing at all in college football, it really doesn't matter what else you have. We don't even know how bad Michigan State's defense is. We know how bad their pass rush is. Because, frankly, I think Nakai Martinez and Malik Spencer are good safeties. Like I think they've got some okay players in the secondary. I think their linebackers have struggled in coverage, but they've been back there without much pressure on the quarterback. Like I don't even know what Michigan State has. And I don't know how far they are away throughout the defense. I know their pass rush doesn't cut it. And if that doesn't change to some degree, then the defense won't cut it, and the season they'll struggle to get anything out of the season. I think that would be a shame because I think offensively they have enough to have this pretty decent year and a year that gives the program some momentum, and the program needs that. But, it was not a great weekend if you believe in the transitive property for Michigan State football. What's your next take?
Big night.
Gracias, señor. Vamos, Lions.
No real hot takes from the Lions game. I love the way the defense played. Shout out Hutch, right? I mean, we're hard on Hutch when he doesn't get any sacks. I mean, having a good year so far defensively. I think obviously after the touchdown, the Browns just went down and marched down the field, and apparently we got our shit together after that. But I thought it was a great win yesterday. I don't have any really hot takes from it yesterday, Graham, which is crazy. Thank God for the Lions.
And the thing about the game is the Browns' defense is actually legitimately good.
Oh,
so
God. Myles Garrett is scary, man.
So even though the Lions at times offensively didn't look like that, it's not like the Browns just suck completely. They suck on offense, but on defense they don't. Like you got to. I thought the Lions handled business. I think they'll handle business in Cincinnati. I think they'll get to 4-1.
Sounds like the injuries to Reed and Terry and Arnold aren't bad. So those guys, I think Reed, they're saying he might miss next week's game against Cincy, but.
Okay,
so it's always a good. Now we have to sit there at the injury report afterwards and go, all right, how are these guys doing?
That's the best case scenario. All right, now I've got an injury take. Yesterday, the Ravens are down like 7-8 guys. The Ravens are dropping guys on defense left and right, and they just by the end, the only thing that was reflective of them being the Ravens was the jerseys they were wearing playing. And I don't even know how. It was brutal playing that Kansas City team. Had a teaser with the Ravens plus 10.5 that didn't play out very well. Was not thrilled with that. But the Chargers offensive line down key guys, right? They lose to the Giants. Like this is the best thing you can have happen to you in pro football, I do believe now, is to have injuries early, not season-ending injuries, because nobody's going to sit out and do my plan to sit out 10 weeks and have some of their top guys sit out 10 weeks and then come in. Have some injuries early. Have some guys miss 4, 5, 6 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it might be. What you don't want those injuries to be long-term injuries. You just need to survive that time. Everybody's going to have him. Because, like, I saw Dave Burkett from the Freep tweeted about, the Lions' 2 defensive backs out. And then you see the Ravens missing all these guys. And that's not news. News is if you're not banged up. Every team's like, I don't know how they're going to do it because they're missing all these guys. Well, that's football these days. I don't even know. Like, I still cannot even imagine being a defensive back in a preseason meeting about our team goals for the season. You're not going to be a part of the season. You got 5, 6 weeks tops, and you're out for the most. I like some of you hope you come back. You hope your injury's not too. Find me a defensive backfield in the NFL in the last 10 years anywhere that's had, 4 or 5 guys that have played more than 13 games. I would love to find it. I bet you it hasn't. I would find it.
Want some off?
No, I'm not going to. It would take like forever right now. But I just, to me, like, this is what is. Like, it's just not news. If you're missing guys, it's not an excuse. Everybody's missing them. The best case scenario is what it looks like for the Lions, that you're missing guys in the short term. That means those are games they can't get hurt in. You just got to survive those games. You want guys out for the short term, especially if you're a team that's got playoff aspirations. If you're or Super Bowl aspirations, if you're a team that's just trying to make the playoffs, then this really hurts. Then you need your guys healthy now. But if the goal at the end of the season is to be healthy in the postseason, then you want small injuries now, and because everybody's got them. And
so what would be the perfect time, like the amount of time to miss in your perfect scenario? Because like 4 to 5 weeks, if it's like an injury to where you're off your feet, I mean, you're going to get fat. You're going to be out of shape. It's not because I can't disagree because the season's so long about your stupid take because it does have some merit because it would make sense. But I don't know how you would sit there and do sort of, player minute management or whatever you would do, because I sit there every Sunday and throw up a little prayer. I'm not even that religious. Throw up a prayer, please protect Jared Goff at all costs here.
Yeah.
Because if he's out, we're absolutely screwed. So please protect him.
Yeah, it's a good
Is it
question.
what, 5 weeks? Is that your thing?
Well, and I think it's the type of injury too. You don't want something that lingers. You know what? You don't want hamstring things or you don't want anything that lingers. It's just something that you can continue to keep yourself in shape. Ideally, actually, what it is it's a upper body injury. Those aren't many of those that you can come back from because you can keep yourself in shape. Somewhat lower body. I guess that would be mine.
It's like Marcus Davenport. They don't know what his upper body thing is. Yeah,
just keep it short though. Mm-hmm. Do you have any more takes?
Just briefly on the Ryder Cup, I thought the ending yesterday was definitely really, really impressive that the U.S. could come out and actually do that. And, all credit to the European team for actually the first 2 days coming in to Bethpage and absolutely kicking the United States ass. And I just was really just bummed out by the way the crowd reacted. And I don't mean like giving players shit. I mean, that's a part of having home course advantage. And when we go to Ireland in 2 years, I'm sure they're going to show us how to be respectful and the golf etiquette thing. Because I get it. Not everyone knows the golf etiquette or do they care. And a lot of people there probably don't care, the younger generation. But as I'm getting older and I'm 46 years old now, and I never exhibited really that behavior to where I would go to a golf event and yell and scream during someone's backswing. I was always respectful. Even I was a drunk moron, I would make sure I was somewhat, you know what I mean, at the event I was at. You can tell stories about my Cody Tucker wedding experience. I understand that. But if I was at a Ryder Cup event like that, Graham, just the way they were going at Rory and saying things and in the backswing and the countdowns, I just thought it
throwing
was just
a drink at his wife.
All was classless. And I hope that we never have another Ryder Cup in New York like that, because I just don't see it getting better from our side. I don't know how they do it over there. I mean, I know they're way more respectful than what we portrayed, but I just was absolutely embarrassed that on a national stage with everybody watching, that's how we, that's how we behaved at the Ryder Cup.
Yeah,
so that was a bummer, and I'm glad the United States saved a little face, because I was worried that Keegan Bradley, I love Keegan, but he was going to go down as one of the worst Ryder Cup captains, and, the Morikawa, Harris English going 2 straight days with that matchup. I didn't understand, in the course layout that he had, because he, as a U.S. Ryder captain, he can pick the layout and the course, the way, the thick rough is cut and certain things like that. But like I said, tip of the cap, as they, the cheesy guys like to say, of like Europeans came in and took all the brunt of that shit and kicked our ass and won the Ryder Cup. So
three takes on this. One, if I were running the Ryder Cup in 2029, I would be tempted not to serve beer for one, just as the punishment. Just say, hey, because I wonder how much of it's alcohol induced, how much it enhances a lot
of it, because they're drinking all day. They're sitting there at 9 a.m. And I don't like policing stuff like that, because I feel like in a lot of those cases, we punish a lot of people that know how to have a good time without being an absolute asshole for 15, 20, 50 assholes who don't know how to handle it.
The problem is this was bad. And like to me, maybe that becomes the thing. Hey, you ruin it for everybody. Everybody can be there, just no beer next time.
It's social media, though, too. We can blame the booze, but people want to be famous. They think they're going to be famous. They get into an altercation with Rory. They're going to be, you know what I mean?
Well, so
they want their 15 minutes of glory.
Maybe that's the option. Maybe we even give American fans the option next time. You got 2 choices. It's either no phones like the Masters or booze. You cannot have both. You cannot have booze and phones. You have to choose one. If you and it's your freedom. It's your freedom to choose,
right?
Booze or phones, but you cannot have both. And so let's see what you want to do.
But I just think not just the Ryder Cup, because I have gone to we went to the Live and there wasn't people talking in backswings, but there's a lot of people that were not respecting the way the golf course is set up for the players to actually to sit there and stop talking before these guys hit. Yeah. And I just think it's just as an older guy going to these things, I just don't know if it's for me, period, anymore. I love being at home. I loved yesterday. 3 TVs rocking, everything at my disposal. Why on earth would I go deal with some people like that and deal with all of the parking and, the concession stands I heard nightmare stuff about? So
I have a couple thoughts. One is, I've always wondered this. The Europeans, I think, are always a good bet because I think they care more about this.
Oh, God, yeah, by far.
The flip side of that
they don't care about getting paid.
Is post-Brexit, I don't know why the English and Northern Irish get to be part of they're not part of Europe. Like, this is not Britain is not Europe anymore. So, like, that should be something that's pointed out. You don't get to be something you're not. Like, the Americans don't get to say, you know what, we're going to take the Australians too. Like, you're not part of Europe. You voted out of Europe, so you don't get to be on the course anymore. You're not in Europe. So that's just one thing I would point out in this. You can't just cobble together countries and act like there's some community. Those countries battle each other in every other sport separately. How is there any sort of? I don't get the pride. It's just
we might need another country after the way that we performed. I don't know. Then we have Canada.
That's right. That's fair.
We get those guys.
All right. Last thing from me. I wrote a column that went up Friday about the and I sort of teased this here about the college football experience and how television is ruining it. And so I sat down.
Great column, man.
Appreciate it.
I enjoyed it.
I sat down pulled out the VCR out of the basement. It was great.
That's why I enjoyed it.
Had to.
Because I believe you did that.
Oh, I did. No, I did. It was great. I knew exactly where it was. My wife keeps saying, we don't need the VCR anymore. You don't need these boxes of VHS tapes. And this was a moment where I brought it up and I was like,
what do women know?
This is what, do you want to watch the Cheers finale after this? How about the Saved by the Bell college years or the Jordan 55-point performance against the Suns in 93? I've got it all in the basement right here. We got the VCR up. VCR still works. Tapes all work. I mean, if you keep those things in decent shape and you don't move them for 15 years, they work perfectly.
Rock solid, yeah.
And anyway, so I put in the 96 Purdue-Michigan State game, the Cedric Irvin game, the 99 Michigan State game, which is like Tom Brady versus Plaxico Burress and all those guys. And I detailed and kind of went through all the commercial breaks, the timings of them, how long they were, how often they were, just the whole experience. And then
you were crushing tape.
And on the other the other side did the Boston College and USC games. And Fox definitely has the worst experience, although their overall time is not that much difference than NBC. NBC is it's a more fluid experience, though, and I can't quite figure out why because the data doesn't show it, but as you're watching it, it feels more fluid. But it's bad. I mean, the commercial time in that USC game was 55 minutes, and you go back like to the late 90s, and it was like 30 minutes. And and they've taken so much of the game out anyway by changing the rules in terms of when the clock stops and everything like that you go from like 150 plays to 115 plays now. So you're getting less football as it is. They've just added commercial inventory time. They haven't shortened the game at all. And on TV, it's not great. At home, it's not great. You almost have to have 2 TVs. You get your Xfinity stream. You can deal with it because you can go back and forth between other things. In the stadium, it's worse though, because even when they come back from commercial, there's often like a 30-second replay or bumper or live read or something like that if you're in the stadium, you're still just waiting. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those get close to 4 minutes. And the response I got from it, though, was most telling, this column, that people are really agreed and are really upset. And there are a lot of people who are 30-year, 20-year, 40-year season ticket people, fans, who go to fewer games, watch less, who are really bothered by the in-house experience. I think it's a real problem. The people I heard from overwhelmingly who have changed their habits in terms of going to games and viewing habits because of the way it's packaged, I think is a problem for college football. The bigger problem for college football is they can be, there is still no better way probably financially to get a commercial in the fourth quarter than any other way of packaging, advertising in terms of how lucrative it is. But the bigger problem they have is that young people don't watch games as is. They're watching clips on YouTube and other ways. They watch highlights. They don't watch full games as is as much. And so baseball, I think, did a good job, right? They sped up. I don't know if you can completely get young people into baseball, but they sped up the games, pitch clocks. I watch a lot more baseball. It's a better experience. College football needs to stop being short-sighted. They need to start thinking about, I get the here and now. Everybody's trying to survive financially, milk as much money as there is. But they need to create a product that 20-year-olds want to sit through, where the game moves quickly enough, and they need to be creative enough. Maybe it's more, not losing that many commercials, but more 30-second commercials. Maybe it's some split screen stuff. Maybe it's this next 2 drives brought to you commercial free by this or this. Maybe it's different ways of live reads or different sponsorships. But they need to start thinking, because the product is right now, I just cannot imagine a 20-year-old today, a teenager today, sitting through. It is awful. And the in-game experience there is awful. And they need to start thinking about it. And it's a real I knew people would agree with me. The level of response and the number of people who have been longtime fans who are no longer going to as many games or watching as much because of it was jarring to me.
And I don't know if, because going back to the Ryder Cup with their coverage, you talk about the commercials that roll while there's still action on, but they're still doing the split screen where the commercial is still bigger and the audio is the commercial, which going over a lot of the key moments in the Ryder Cup. It was annoying as hell that you sit there and you have to be like, wait, what's going on? Because they're sitting there trying to jam all of these commercials in. And a lot of them were for NBC TV shows. Like, F you. Like, we know what shows are coming out now. You don't have to use that time. If you're going to use it for an actual sponsor to where you're going to, make some money off that. I just don't know what the answer is. But, there's going to be a breaking point at some point with these things.
I think one of the answers, and Fox did this a couple times in the USC game, is they went to 30-second commercials. And they say, we'll be back in 30 seconds. So you know it when they say it. You don't have time to get up and go pee. If you're in the stadium, you don't lose anything because it's like a 30-second commercial. Mm-hmm. And it's during a timeout. But more of finding areas for those. So it's probably a better advertisement, better bang for their buck, because people aren't leaving to do other things. They know it's just one commercial. So, like, to me, more 30-second commercials, fewer 4-minute commercials, or go the complete opposite way. Because one of the things they did really well in the old days, and talking in the 1990s, was there were like 10 different times where they were changed of possession where they didn't go to break. And granted, there was more money in the gate experience then than television, so that's why they did it, but they would stay with you. Well, have fewer commercials but longer breaks. Now, people might not want those. People might not want to pay as much for that. Make halftime longer. Have a couple 5-minute breaks, but stay with us during possession. They got to start getting creative. It's not for me to decide. All I know is they got a problem.
Yeah.
And they need to work on it.
But it's like on baseball, when you watch a baseball game, they have that little subtle kind of thing on the mound for advertising in that way. I just think if you're just going to keep, you're going to start adding more to the halftime show, you're not going to get as much value if you're one of the networks from that, right? Because a lot of people don't watch these halftime shows. If people are barely watching games, if younger people are, who the hell's watching a halftime show? I couldn't tell you the last halftime show like I tune into to watch the whole thing. You have it on in the background while you're going and doing stuff during halftime. And like you said, these commercial breaks are already long enough. Like sometimes, when you douse yourself with MGs on these Saturdays and Sundays, you come back from a 5-minute break, you're like, wait, what? Wait, what down are we? I lose track of where we are in the game. That's insanity. Got to keep the games moving. And I just think it's going to come down to a breaking point, because Michigan fan Jordan and I were talking this morning. He said, he's like, man, I just can't get up for these college football Saturdays. I mean, we're talking about year one of this, of wondering what people were going to do with college football, and we're not even, halfway through the season. Michigan fan Jordan's already telling me, other than Michigan games, he doesn't really care about other games that are going on in the SEC or something like that, and I 100% agree with him. Because it's hard to get up. I mean, Michigan State, I definitely watch them. Michigan, if they get, other Big Ten schools, but other than that, like, is there an SEC thing? If I'm not gambling on it, I'm like, oh, can't wait for that game.
It helped the games at night. There were two great games at night, the Georgia, Alabama, and Oregon, Penn State, and it helped to have two of them. And during the day, the Xfinity Multi-View is here for you. I mean, it can help you get through that, where you can have 4 games at once. Go to Xfinity.com. Check out the deals in your area today for that. Let's dig into these listener hot takes.
Eric Schultz up first. I counted 24 coaches who have finished the regular season in the top 12 twice or more in the past decade. Of those 24, none of them had 2 losing seasons to start their respective tenures. If MSU once again misses a bowl, it won't be too early to know about whether Jonathan Smith is the guy here.
No, that's a fair analysis. I would the one pushback would be at is this is sort of the glass half empty approach, right? There just seems to be a lot more of that. Why not wait to see? No, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of, like, if this happens horrible, then we'll know this. Like, yeah. Okay, well, maybe it won't happen horrible. Why not hope for that? And because there seems to be a lot of doomsday attitude about it, but
because that's where it's kind of heading. It's
we'll see. They're 3-1, right? So,
yeah.
But Eric, who I does good research here, and it's a good point. Like,
We're 3-1, man.
This thing winds up 5-7.
Club.
Then there's something to it.
Hey, check out the ocean. Dominic, number 1, I love how Graham keeps mentioning Bradley Beal as some sort of slam on Ishbia for wanting a top 5 coach of all time. Wanting greatness is healthy, yet we rarely hear how Haller was instrumental in the Tucker hire. Now we got Gomer fucking Pyle for the foreseeable. 2, Ebling spends literal months hyping up every coach and player, ball gargling this staff. Yet now he lashes out at fans for expecting too much and having unrealistic expectations. Yeah. Can't imagine why this fan base is so fucking miserable. And 3, I was fine that AJ held Scooble out, but completely punting on a chance at the division really speaks to the pussification of sports. Right there with load management, pitch counts, targeting rules. Love that Paddock was the poster child for this partial birth abortion of a season.
First of all, with Ebling, we can't be responsible on this show for what Ebling does. That's not. I do enough spinning, probably most people think, and whatever Ebling's doing, that's on him.
Is he lashing out at fans?
Yeah,
I gotta hear that.
Yeah, I want to hear the Ebling lash.
Send me a
out.
clip.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Bradley Beal thing here, because with Ishbia, the Bradley Beal thing represented something else, and it represented something you could tie to Urban Meyer. It's living in the past. It's a perspective that's 10 years old. There was a point where the idea it's putting together a great video game team with something on paper that sounds great. There was NBA Live, 2016. Hell yeah, I want Bradley Beal on that. Let's put together this team with Bradley Beal. It's the ability to have analysis to realize something is moronic and doesn't work. And I don't know 100% what would have happened with Urban Meyer. But it's the same philosophy. It's this guy was great. I want, I'm just saying, Ishbia is the most powerful man in MSU athletics. He is somebody that has to be listened to. He's obviously built himself into a billionaire. I mean, he came from money, but he's taken that and done well with it, obviously. But, you don't have to listen to everything he says. And there are elements of the things he wants, this sort of, we're going to do it, throw money out, let's go, bigger, better. And I think he's realizing in the NBA that doesn't always work.
Pound the bushes.
And you don't have to, you have to make him feel listened to. And that's what I think Haller failed, but you got to somehow have the skill to do what you think is best too. And that's the key for the athletic director. And that's the talent. The talent in that position is, it's like that.
That's the team.
It's like that that if you ever seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding, you ever seen that movie?
No, I've not. No.
Watched it alone on a Monday night in Freeport, Illinois, in a theater. I was the only person at the Lindo Theater in downtown Freeport, by the way. Story almost worth telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company. Literally, they kept all 6 screens open for one guy on a snowy Monday night in Freeport, Illinois.
Does that guy have his pants on in there?
Right, yeah.
Go clean the pop.
It was not a porn theater. It was, but anyway, there's a scene in My Big Fat Greek Wedding where the wife is explaining to somebody about how they get the husband to do things, and they make him think he thought of it, even though he didn't. Right? Make him think it's his. That's what you got to do with Ishbia. You got to make him think it was his idea.
That's what T does.
That boom, it's brilliant because that's how you work with a guy who wanted Bradley Beal in 2024.
Spartan 18770. The only way MSU wins from here on out is through its offense, which means it's up to Aiden Childs. And bonus, the fact that Brett Bielema was the correct choice in 2020 is the perfect ending to the COVID years.
Bielema's a good coach. He just is.
I don't know.
You don't
Not
think
as good as Siggy. Got hammered. 60 point. What I mean, Jesus, they scored again on Illinois. Am I right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well,
coach.
Yeah, Signetti he's the outlier.
I think Jonathan Smith's a good coach.
He's the outlier. Yeah.
Dan Grave. MSU is in a better spot than Penn State. Really? Let me read that again. MSU is in a better spot than Penn State. Jonathan Smith might be the guy we don't know, but we know James Franklin isn't the guy.
This is hot from Dan. But Dan is an objective opinion guy, and he's also a Michigan fan. So this is not him. Yeah, this is not some hopeful spin here.
Michigan.
I think I get what he's saying. The problem is MSU's been so far from the Penn State level for so long. I think a lot of MSU fans would gladly trade what they have for where Penn State is.
1,000%.
Yeah. So I think
because you're in the conversation, even though you're an embarrassment.
And I don't think this specific game was I thought Oregon was the better team, and Oregon kind of choked it away. Certainly hurt my under the way they choked it. So Dan Lanning to me at the end was like, our guys just kept fighting and punching back. I was like, you kind of choked this one. Like you at the end, yes, your guys had resolve, but Dan Lanning was very much the James Franklin of the game, and his team wound up winning. But there was a good section of that game. I was like, what are they doing? So anyway, they got away from running the ball when they were successful at it. I did not think James Franklin. I thought he was overmatched and had a team that played well at the end and just lost in overtime. I actually thought Dan Lanning was James Franklin in this game.
Aiden's child next. Number 1, but for a poor off-field decision, Mel Tucker is in year 6 of his 10-year deal. MSU football is in a better place, going to lower-tier bowl games the past 2 seasons. Nonetheless, fans are calling for both him and Haller to be fired. And bonus, the proper analogy of not being able to judge Ohio State coaches is even Matt Patricia can look competent with that talent, as opposed to even me and Solari. And baked throwaway take. MSU will win 3 of the next 5 games. Signed, Christopher Solari.
He was a little optimistic on the last
Graham.
on the last Spartan speak, and I was a little I was like, what are you talking? He's like, if they do this and they'll go 3-1. What 3-1 in October?
I will.
He was very optimistic, and I don't think he was drinking. I didn't know what was going on.
He's got 3 young kids. I would be drinking. Holy hell.
Yeah.
Got you once in a while.
Look, the Mel Tucker era, for all its faults, one of the reasons I stayed true to the idea that you had to give a guy a certain amount of time, and what he was doing with the classes he had, that years 4 and 5 were, I think it was year 4 that I thought was really, really telling, and they sort of got there. It was beginning of 2023, right? Or year 5, whatever the fuck year it was. I think 2024 was supposed to be the year. But the problem, he had enough off-field flaws that it just never had a chance, and I think eventually it would have blown up on him. But it is true that I think he was a decent coach. He maybe needed to do some things here and there with his staff. He was recruiting at a pretty high level. He was the coach at the period of time where everything was in transition with NIL. We go back to Ishbia and those guys, like the top donors at MSU, Ishbia, kind of the big 3, St. Andre, Greg Williams, all these guys.
Jim Hayos.
Not Jim Hayos.
Pound the bushes.
But they were, they thought at one point that $3 to $4 million, and they were sort of misadvised by somebody on that MSU staff too. But nobody knew what was what. They thought $3 to $4 million would fund everything they needed for basketball and football annually, and they thought together they could kind of handle it. And that's part of the reason there was not this outreach for other donors. The next tier down, there was not outreach for fans. It was like, all right, $3 to $4 million, we can each chip in $1 million a year. We're good here. And then it's the Ryan Day comment that I think jarred a lot of people. I need $13 million to retain my roster. Everybody went, we're just not even in the ballpark of what this is going to cost. And so Tucker was part of all of that, though. He was there at a time where the whole sport was changing, and MSU, like a lot of places, was figuring it out and was behind. And so, he had elements, obviously, where he failed off the field, and that eventually might have hurt him. But I do wonder, with sort of his swagger, if they had their money figured out perfectly at the beginning, like if it couldn't have worked, if he could have thought himself as just been a little more humble away from the field. I don't think. Yeah. Anyway, that's my take.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for all of that.
Corey Ostrom next. The Big Ten is a hot mess after this weekend. I'm not sure who's good and who's not, other than Ohio State and Oregon and maybe Indiana being the elite of the Big Ten. How that relates to MSU's schedule only tells me that the countdown to 6 wins could cause the fan base much anxiety. And from John Johnson. With the combined results of the Indiana and USC games this week, even during a bye week, MSU loses.
I think the key for MSU season and fan anxiety and all that stuff is to be at 6 wins before the Maryland game at Ford Field. You don't want to lose that game, period. But if they're already at a bowl game and you're playing to go to 7 wins, which would feel like a good end of the season, then you're playing for a bowl game to even get to 8 if you're in a mid-tier bowl, lower-tier bowl or whatever. That'll feel very different than if they're at 5 wins, trying to playing a Maryland team that who knows what they'll be by then, but that's had some decent results, and you're playing them needing to get to 6 still, which means you only had, other than UCLA, 1 more win anywhere else throughout the year. So there's a lot of losing that would have gone on.
What a fun discussion.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's very negative.
Seven wins is the ceiling.
It's hard to imagine more than that.
Ceiling is the roof, as MJ says.
It's got to have a lower roof.
Lower roof. Yeah. Jesus. Dino Spumoni. A third of the regular college football season is done. So a slightly baked take. Michigan doesn't play another ranked team until Ohio State at home. Oregon plays one more ranked team, Indiana at home. Michigan versus Oregon, Big Ten championship game.
So if you're looking for value, there's no value in either one of those. I looked, I think Firekeepers, iCasino and Sportsbook and other books have them at like plus 150 each, Ohio State and Oregon to win the Big Ten, right? No value in that. The value to me is probably still in Penn State, which lost a really tight game to Oregon, but still plays Ohio State.
Set your money on fire with Franklin.
But still, I think they're at home against Ohio State.
So what?
I'm just saying, if you're looking for a team, they're plus 600. So if you're looking for value,
what more do we need to see from Penn State?
Again, I'm not saying they're going to do it. I'm just saying in terms of value, there's no value in Oregon or Ohio State based on the odds. The value would be in like a plus 600 bet on Penn State.
Andrew Zawiza next. A 6-6 MSU football season with at least 3 of the following is a success. Number 1, retain 90% of the roster. 2, retain all but 1 or 2 offensive starters, including all difference makers. 3, a top 25 class. 4, a top 15 portal class, heavy on defense. And 5, bushes are finally pounded. Or 6, Coach Smith says, fuck emotions. And bonus, Katon Hauser is someone's him again. And baked, fuck is the only curse word.
It's a good word. Katon Hauser's, I didn't realize he had risen again as a starter somewhere. I'm glad the Katon Hauser era is over. No offense to Katon Hauser, but those were long.
What about Theo Day? Where's he at?
Well, Theo Day never really got his era. That was a shame.
I know.
It was too bad. Yeah, it was not great. I mean, there are a lot of things that would be 6-6 and then all that. I mean, the key to some of that is momentum. It'll be finances beyond that, but the key is you got to feel like the program's heading in the right direction, and you're probably hoping you get Childs and Marsh one more year, and then you're trying to build around them and have a team next year that's really contending for something, or at least is in the playoff conversation. And so you get that out of that group because you only got one more year max after this of Childs and Marsh.
Scotty Green's El Camino next. My wife asked me if I could have dinner with any celebrity, who would it be? So many choices, but I said Izzo. I have to imagine he'd be a fascinating conversation. Maybe he'd laugh at the fact that Jamie Fike used to grab dudes' nuts when he played pickup while at MSU. And bonus, I don't blame Keegan for the Ryder Cup loss. Nope, I blame Zach Johnson. Dude set back the American team a decade. Worst Ryder Cup captain in U.S. history. Very punchable face, too.
The punchable face never helps. You really shouldn't pick people. He's got a stupid-looking face. Just makes it worse.
I like how he's still getting blamed. I mean, these are 2 years apart. I mean, we can move on from the past. I mean, did Zach Johnson have a lot to do with this team? Anyway. Yeah, good Jamie Fike reference, by the way. Very nice. Is that true?
I would
Can you
never
do a story on that? Find that out.
Get a hold of Jamie and be like, hey,
can we have him on and just ask him that question and be like, all right, man, thanks.
That guy played quite a while in the NBA. I remember playing for the Nets, a few other teams. Yeah, he played a long time.
Roger Pepperell next. I think we are looking at one of our best MSU basketball teams in 10 years. The only real unknown is the freshman and McCulloch, but I'm high on them too. We are under the radar because we aren't refilling the whole team with transfers. Wake up call to all by week 6. Great show, you two.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be one of the best basketball teams in 10 years. I think it's a really intriguing team that has a chance to be pretty good with a pretty high floor. And the question with MSU basketball will be, I like Jace Richardson was a real difference maker. And they didn't know they had that, and he became that. He wasn't, though. I think there were foundational aspects of last year's team that didn't necessarily need him, right, in terms of how they played the and I go back to that game in Maui where he didn't play, and again, North Carolina didn't turn out to be that good. But that intensity, that sort of collective ability, I don't think so. I think there are elements to their identity that don't necessarily need him, but he was the guy that carried them down the stretch, that made them 3 games better than everybody else in the league. And so how does that look? What is Cohen Carr? Is Cohen Carr just a really good role player, or is he a guy who's going to be a pro? What is
he a dog? They need a dog.
And does he rebound like Canada's best all the time? He doesn't even have to be a great offensive player, but he needs to be relentless on. Is Jeremy Fears going to take that next step where he's not just a starting Big Ten point guard, but a guy who can take you places? Is Jackson Kohler, who's shown the rebounding, is he going to become a guy who's a sniper from deep? Yeah, like that. Like these are the things that will but they're all possibilities. So I think there's reasons for optimism, unless you want to approach it like you do Jonathan Smith, where it's like, well, if he loses the next 7 games, then he's not the guy. If we can take that approach, but
why do you got to bring Jonathan Smith into
I'm just
it?
saying,
I'm just excited about the basketball season. You got to bring up shit like that. I mean,
I'm
come on.
pointing out the contrast. And granted, Jonathan Smith, last year's basketball team earned this optimism. Last year's the football team has not earned this optimism. So I would, in fairness to others,
it's the American way. Except America has gotten soft.
Jebediah next. In a sign of good faith, Graham needs to put all the money he made on the Guardians winning the Central into the Lions winning the Super Bowl. And from Graham's burner, $850 blood money on the Guardians buys a whole lot of groovy donuts. Makes it easier to deal with the guilt.
Yeah, I don't feel the guilt. I don't feel guilt.
You're not a fan. We know that.
But it's not even just that. Like the Tigers blew this. Like I don't feel guilt. I wasn't rooting for it. I would feel guilt.
That's why you should be able to bet with or against Michigan State. Like, what does it matter? I mean, you can separate yourself. You've shown it.
Well, no, because the part
just
of it
because you're covering it doesn't mean you can't.
No, here's the difference. I didn't put a lot. So say to win $850, I had to put $850 on it. Say it was a even money bet. Well, yeah. Then that would have been me like sweating it out, rooting for the Guardians. Then I would have felt guilty. When you're just putting a little bit of money to win at 33-1 odds.
Are you telling us how gambling works?
What I'm saying is that's why you can't bet.
It's annoying that you won. It's annoying that you won, and Cleveland won the division. I mean,
here's what I will.
Some people are happy.
Here's what I will do. Here's what I will do. This
give me that 150. Is that what you're saying? Come on, man. Venmo.
I think I will buy one listener a Muskox flannel. Which is those are.
Are you just pitching that idea, or is that like an idea? It sounds like you're trying to.
I'm going to do it.
Feel it out.
So we'll have to figure out who gets that and how we do it. But
you got to go through a gauntlet.
No, well, but it's.
Please repost.
It's for one.
And put 3 members of your family's ats in here.
I hate
when people do that.
Maybe it's a contest.
Oh no!
Here's the contest. Who can take the ugliest photo of themselves? Because that's what the Muskox photo does for you. You know what I mean? Like Muskox turns ugly into beauty. It makes you feel good about yourself when you don't. It is, and so I'm saying, who can take the ugliest picture of themselves, the worst side angle, the worst whatever, the most chins? Who needs the Muskox the most? That's who gets the Muskox flannel.
So you want someone to embarrass themselves?
Yes,
to get a Muskox.
Like we just want you send a picture of the worst.
Don't send a picture of one of us.
Yeah, the worst.
You'll win.
The worst.
Here's my side profile.
Oh, my side profile is awful. God, it's amazing. It's amazing. But a Muskox flannel helps. So that's what we'll come up. We'll do a thing. Who can take the ugliest photo of themselves? That person wins a Muskox flannel. One Muskox flannel from me. Or you can purchase your own by going to gomuskox.com. $15 off for Couch and the Rube listeners with the promo code Peacock. And I'm telling you, they have great new offerings. Some old standbys. And look, every time one of the reasons I wear a Muskox flannel so often for this show, and certainly every Monday, is because I see the screen grab that comes out of the I look better during the show than I do anytime I'm not in a Muskox flannel. You too can look that way, and so that's what I will do with the blood money winnings from the Guardians. One listener will get a Muskox flannel from me, and we'll figure out.
Where do they send those in?
Just send it to our Twitter account. Just add us. Add us. Yep.
Nestle's Quick Hotel next. If the Tigers, as evidenced by their lineup and play today, don't care about winning the division, then I don't feel bad at all for winning money on Cleveland to win the division. All's fair in love and gambling.
See, that's a good point. They didn't even.
I know. I can't disagree with that.
They got Jake Rogers batting in the 9th inning.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one that kind of bothered me. It was like
he's done it. Hinch has done that before, where he's pinch hit for Rogers, and you're like, wait, what?
Why not have Rogers? I get it until that point, but you're down 1 run, and I also get the idea. And Hinch said this was not a game you wanted to play extra innings in. So in extra innings, give up. But like in a moment right there where you've got a man on, you're in the 9th, you're down 1, maybe pinch hit Jake Rogers. That would be my play.
Ralph E. next. What a great Saturday of Big Ten football. Rutgers, Minnesota was a good game. USC, Illinois was a great game. Illinois did a good job recovering from Indiana. And Ohio State, Washington was a dud. Iowa State, great game. Both will be tough for MSU. Oregon, Penn State, great game. What are we doing here? The Franklin narrative continues. Almost feel bad for him. Almost. Hashtag Xfinity Remote. Moving back and forth. Xfinity Remote's better than signing in and out of streams, right? It's all right there for you with Xfinity. It was a good weekend to not have an MSU game because there was a lot of stuff that happened, and the games at night were. I mean, that was for somebody who hasn't been upset with the TV timeouts. To have those two games next to each other and sort of complementing each other. I mean, one game hit halftime like 15 minutes before the other game, so when the other game hit halftime was over, and it was perfect. Izzo for Prez next. I'm glad to see all fan bases completely lose it after a loss. Happy it's not just Spartans that overreact every week. How many more coaches won't last the season? It is interesting to see, and everybody does this. Penn State fans were chanting "Fire Franklin" during the post game when they were doing the fight song or whatever the alma mater. Are they wrong? Yes. Should he be like Iowa and just be happy at Kirk Ferentz? Like, they're better than Kirk. Iowa would love to be. I understand that, but I mean, they keep Kirk Ferentz around, and it's like they're going to keep James Franklin around because you just want to believe at some point. Two different scenarios. Still both ass scenarios. But I do. You do see more coaches fired early because I think people know that to get a jump on recruiting and that you have to let people know you're available. You have to sort of. It's going to be weird because it's going to create. There are some coaches who are, you can get a Pat Fitzgerald now. He's out of coaching, right? But there are a lot of coaches, if you're trying to hire, they're still coaching for a couple more months. So how does that all work? I mean, I think that's. But how are you supposed to react if you're a Penn State fan? You just keep constantly getting kicked in the dick, and you're supposed to just wake up on Monday and be like, oh, you know what? All right, these games just happen. I think there have been a lot of games. It's a good football team over there. I think there have been a lot of games that sort of define the James Franklin era where they didn't get it done in a big moment. I don't think this was that game. But it's part of. I know, but I just don't think it was it. So just move on. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thumbs up. Keep sport. Fucking hate sports now. David P. next. Graham has said it in jest last week as spin zone, but I honestly believe the best thing for the long-term health of the Tigers was to miss the playoffs. Force the front office to actually make some bold changes. Now Harris gets to sit back and act like Chuck Morton got us to October. Well, if the guy's finishing his season playing for the Braves, you can't act doing like his Make-A-Wish walk-off thing. I love that. It's great. I'm glad he got his proper send-off. Yeah. No, Scott Harris has got to know this was a failure at the deadline at this point, and I think he's still got to be contrite. Would he have known if we missed the playoffs, though? Like, I just don't think that would have even messed with his head either. He just went on to the next season. Man, and the problem with Scott Harris, too, is he's got a little bit of a punchable face when he comes across the mic. It's not great. He's got a stupid-looking face. Yeah, it's not great. Scott, you next. Number one, turf fields and specifically MetLife Stadium are terrible for leg injuries. The Jets and Giants players need a clause in their contracts which states 100% guaranteed money if they injure their leg, ACL, or Achilles on that field. And two, the rev share era is shaping up so far into a couple trends. A, for teams that aren't Oregon and Ohio State, the factors of who you play, game time, bye week or not, and where you are so impactful. And B, the Power 4 conference teams are now heavily paying for their roster retention. Coaching direction and consistency are making it tougher for all teams to massively overhaul a roster. One of the things you want to get your guy in coaching, and then you want to keep it. You want to keep retention. You want a retention because that is leading to player retention. You don't want guys leaving for other jobs. You don't want, and I do think one of the good things for MSU is whether it's Jonathan Smith or whoever, if and when they eventually are in that position where things look good, the way this is shaped financially is Michigan State's a top 20 to 25 resource program in the country. There aren't many places, and really in most of those, at least half of them above them or around them are similar. There are probably only 8 to 12 programs in the country that you go, all right, you might leave Michigan State for there. And half of them are in the same league, and that probably does, So there's a really good chance that it's harder today or less likely today that somebody would leave for another place if you're in one of the upper half resourced Big Ten schools or whatever. And even if in the middle of the pack of that is just so much better than so many other places.
So I do think that is a good dynamic. I think when you change though, now it's tough. Now that said, look what happened at Indiana. So you can strike gold. You can get it right. I agree on the turf too. That especially at MetLife, I don't know how much worse it is than other places that use the field turf, but they do seem to have. You lose your top receiver, the Giants to a torn ACL. I don't know. Those things happen everywhere. If I were a football player, though, I would be much more inclined to sign with somewhere that played on grass.
Tyler next. Green Bay almost demoed the worst clock management possible en route to a mighty tie against a squad the Bears just romped.
It was not.
I fell asleep in that game.
You didn't make it to the end?
Hell no. I went to bed at 10:30.
It was an interesting end. I mean, again,
40-40 tie.
Well, you didn't know it was going to be a 40-40 tie, but it was a fascinating.
Well, when I woke up and I saw, I'm like, what?
Green Bay does not look as scary as they once did. And again, this is every team. One of the things is we think a team's something early in the year. Number one, they're going to lose 17 guys to injury, so see what they are later. There's no point in evaluating them early. But I think the best thing that happened out of this tie for the Lions is that they no longer have to even think about the tiebreaker for the Packers. Doesn't mean you don't have to beat the Packers, but what I mean is at the end of the year, we're not going to be looking at like home field situation, division champion stuff with the Packers going, wait a sec. So if this team, because if they split, say they beat the Packers when the Packers come to Detroit, and at the end of the year they're a game within each other, and okay, if they wind up tied, this record against this team, all this stuff, none of that's going to matter unless the Lions wind up tying a game too. The tie is going to separate them, maybe a half game above or half game below. But either way, that stuff's all out the window, and I kind of like that.
Iguna Yaba Gita Jared Goff.
That's the taint.
Felipe Mendez next. Number one, losing to the idiot Cheeseheads is hard to believe after week 4. And 2, James Franklin can't buy a win against a top 6 team. I feel bad for Penn State.
I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel bad. I'm sorry.
I feel bad for Penn State fans.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Help me.
I'm just saying, you're just going to be told like you're crazy if you think Franklin should go.
Well, no, I don't think that's. Being better there is.
I mean, where's Franklin? Is Franklin going to leave and then prosper somewhere else, or is he just going to be the same guy?
I think,
and I get it. It's better than what's happening.
Point, yeah,
what he has going on at Penn State is better than what's happening currently at Michigan State.
Yes,
but still, has to be frustrating as a Penn State fan to have a guy like that. Sam the Man. Next, after seeing the Boston College results and watching most of the USC-Illinois game, it's becoming clear that Michigan State might have the worst defense in the Big Ten, if not all of the Power 4 conferences. This leaves me thinking one of two things. Either Jonathan Smith and his staff ran out of money and had to cobble together a roster of defensive reserves, or they're simply incapable of evaluating defensive talent. I'm not sure which is worse, but it has to be one of the two. At this point, I'm starting to agree with Graham's mysterious West Coast friend. Jonathan Smith may not be the right guy to turn MSU around. I'm willing to give him one more year, but if year 3 looks like this, I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, the defense has to change for people to embrace the Jonathan Smith era and the Joe Rossi era or whatever. I mean, because it's as frustrating as people will get with bad offense. Michigan State football, the way people have known it at its best and people appreciate it, is a physical defense that can hold its own. And it was interesting going back to watch those 2 tapes in the 1990s. That 96 team wasn't a great defense. That game was, people were more excited about the Cedric Irvin debut. But, there were some guys on that defense. But 99, man, that defense was incredible. And I know Tom Brady and Michigan still put up 31 that day. But, that defense had a number of pros, and you could just that's what people want. They want that identity. And they want the other side too, but they need that identity to embrace what you are as a coach and a program. I think that's something Michigan State has to get to in terms of why they are where they are defensively. I don't think they had the most resources in the world, or they would have bought a defensive line. And so I think that was a big part of it. They were hoping to, you try to do it like the Tampa Bay Rays, or and put it together smartly and have guys work out and young guys be ready, and it hasn't worked. I mean, the pass rush is just not good enough, and frankly, again, it's hard to even evaluate the rest of the defense when you can't get to the quarterback at all.
David Jackson next. We need a Big Ten rule in the actual bylaws that unless one of the two schools is a protected rival, no school in the Big Ten should ever get the gift of playing both Purdue and Northwestern in the same season. That's Criminal Jim, signed Frank Beckman, November 3rd, 2001.
Yeah, the schedule Northwestern's been good at times. It'll be interesting in this new era, though, whether places like Purdue and Northwestern get there. That said, they have the same rev. Rev sharing is going to elevate the floor of those programs if they have the right coaches to a different place than they were, and to be less of a disadvantage than other places. Northwestern has some wealthy alumni, but doesn't have a massive fan base. Purdue, I don't know what their alumni situation is, but it's tricky. And if I were Purdue, frankly, I'd keep investing in hoops as much as I could and let that be your identity. But even within RevShare, I would lean hoops more than some other people maybe. But yeah, it's if you get that, it's a heck of a break this year.
Original Dark Mantonio next. I'm hearing lots of griping about USC having to play at 9 a.m., the body clock game, and I'm hearing that from places that aren't even USC-based. But I didn't hear half as much when MSU had to play a game that was still going on at 2 a.m., which is way worse. And bonus, can we finally stop with the whiteout being daunting? It looks really cool, and the fans are all geeked up in an insane environment. But under Franklin, Penn State is 6-4 overall ranked and 2-4 versus top 15 teams in whiteouts. For good teams, it's not that intimidating. No Penn State snark, just facts.
Well, the other weird thing about the whiteout the other night was Penn State chose to wear their dark blues, and Oregon was in the white. It was kind of a weird dynamic.
So it's all stupid.
Yeah. I don't think people think of it as Penn State does a lot of whiteouts at night, and it's a tough environment. But I don't think it has anything to do with the color of the jerseys, unless if they put hoods on their heads, then it gets a little intimidating.
What does that mean?
Well, if you start to look like a Klan rally, that's why. That's why. Yeah. It's mostly white kids with wearing white. If you put hoods on, it's not good. That's what I'm saying.
I got you.
Let me fix that.
Sorry about Graham, guys. PHBA next. Thermonuclear hot bake take. MSU should hire James Franklin. He would get us on the path to proper recruiting.
So I don't think this is.
But then he never wins shit. At least it'd be fun to look cool.
Yeah.
Look intimidating.
James Franklin will, if he leaves Penn State, much like Dabo, although I think Franklin has maybe even more left, but Franklin will go somewhere else and they will win. Now, will they win will they win a national championship? I don't know, but they'll win a lot. And I don't.
But isn't the point to win a national championship or no? Or is it the point for some of these schools just to be competitive, make a playoff?
I think if you've been down in the dumps long enough, what Franklin's done at Penn State looks mighty, mighty appealing.
Could he go to UCLA and turn that program around?
I think that he could.
Is Franklin like that good?
I think he is. I mean, the guy won at Vanderbilt before Vanderbilt was at all competitive. You know what I mean? Like he didn't win, but I won't say win big, but they were competitive. They were competitive at Vanderbilt.
Doesn't take much to impress Couch.
And he's been consistent at Penn State. He just picks the wrong quarterbacks.
All right. A.A. Ron next. Jonathan Smith will not make any bowl games at MSU.
Well,
Isn't that where he's supposed to preface it with this is a nuclear?
That would be
take. I mean, come on, man. Let's all be positive here. Come on, it's Monday.
That would then
positive Monday.
Then you're looking at a 3 year.
Let's change the show. No more hot takes. Positive Monday.
Positive Mondays.
Yeah.
People don't want that.
Come on, capital P positive.
Matt C would never listen again.
Oh, that's true. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. No, look, if he does not make a bowl game, any bowl games at MSU, that means it was a 3-year tenure.
Peasy next. I had a caramel apple chai this weekend. Hate to say it, the cultural appropriators went nuts with that one. Bonus. Graham talks about Joe Rossi like he's Tom Landry.
Well, he's better than Tom Landry.
Well, Tom Landry's dead.
Well, yeah.
So he has to be.
Well, not only that, even when Tom Landry
Are you talking about prime versus prime?
Yeah. There is no football coach that
That's a hot take.
No football coach like pre the run and shoot, maybe Mouse Davis in the run and shoot that I respect from like 1985 and before. Like I would take Puamo Westphalia's football coach because I'm sorry, I saw football back then. It was not elaborate, well-schemed stuff. It was, I mean, I guess some of it was nifty run stuff with the option, but I'm not spare me Tom Landry. Tom Landry would get his ass kicked in the CAAC here.
If there's any old timers, I want to let you guys know that's Graham Couch saying that.
I'm sorry, I just don't
come after Couch.
Run the veer. I mean,
what do you say about Tom Landry?
Yeah, I mean, every offense coordinator Michigan State's had that would be that's hated throughout time. Dave Warner,
great guy,
Rashar,
great
all those guys, all of them. Jay Johnson, they would all be football legends if they had coached and run their offenses in 1980.
Parker Weiss next. MSU has the better quarterback in offense. If Rossi is worth a damn as a coach, he's found something during the bye week to implement to help the defense, even just slightly, and the Spartans will leave Lincoln with a W, plus 340 money line. And baked. I know State was on a crazy streak of not covering spreads until the late cover against USC. I think they go on a nice run of covering almost every spread the rest of the year. The next one being 10.5 in Lincoln.
Seeing 10.5, 11.5, 11, all that stuff. Again, I'm not going to bet it, but I would tell people that that's not the worst spread for Michigan State. I do think that if MSU cannot cover 11, 11.5 in Lincoln, it's trouble. I just think this is going to be a competitive game. And I'm not saying they're going to win it. I don't think I'll pick them to win it, but I think it should be competitive.
MCV next. College football head coaches becoming CEOs is affecting the quality of college football. Players are noticeably and gradually getting less and less developed every year. And bonus, the bye week's quarterback posted a career high in passing yards this past weekend.
Wait a second. What's that mean? The bye week's QB posted. I don't understand that one. But do you understand that one?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if there's less development because coaches are focused on other things. I think it's players bopping around and not staying within places and not competing for jobs and leaving when things get hard. I think that's what's hurt. I think it. And there are examples of guys who have developed pretty well. Childs being one at MSU like that. I don't think there is development. You see it around there, but I think it hurts guys when they don't stay places when it's tough, when they don't have to win jobs and that sort of thing.
Witty username next. The reason MSU's defense sucks is because the rich guys who should have been buying rush ends were busy getting Haller fired because they are butthurt he didn't let them pick the coach. Smith and Rossi are only a small piece of what is going on in football this season. With that known, blaming Rossi for MSU's pouty rich guys seems off target.
Right. Well, there's lots of ways to look at this. I mean, there's no doubt that Michigan State does not have as much money or did not in the NIL era pre-rev share as some other schools. And whose fault is that? Is it the AD for not raising it? Is it the guys with the money? The flip side of that is there's very little return on investment for the money. So why would you ever give money to NIL if you're a rich guy? I mean, I've said this before, but it's not something to brag about. If you've got dumb rich guys who are just giving their money away, they made smart financial decisions their whole lives, and all of a sudden they're giving money to NIL with zero return on investment. That does not bode well for your school. That's just brainwashed buffoonery. So there's that way of putting it. You also got like Michigan's got a guy as their top donor who went to Illinois, but he's married to a woman who's 45 years younger than him who's a Michigan fan. So maybe so they get credit for that. Like I don't know. It's a good question. Maybe if you're single and attractive, man or woman, go out there and find the richest person you can over 70, hook up and convince them to give your money to your school. That's got to be the play from now on. That's your responsibility.
Or maybe 60.
60 and over,
70.
A little bit of time. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you want them to die, so you want to go 70.
I didn't say that.
You don't want to be with them for very long. Oh, Sparty Barb next. Number 1, Rossi successfully schemes pressure against Raiola. MSU wins by 3. 2, Penn State takes an unexpected loss because of its mediocre offense and drops out of the top 10. And 3, MSU men's soccer grabs some coaches' votes for their wins against 2 top 5 teams last week. And bonus, congrats to MSU volleyball for an awesome shutout match against Michigan. And double bonus, congratulations to MSU women's soccer for wins over Minnesota and Wisconsin. Spartan ladies are taking care of business.
It was a really good weekend on a number of fronts. The men's soccer team beat number 5 ranked Michigan after beating number 3 ranked Indiana. The MSU women's volleyball team gets their first Big Ten win at home, and the women's soccer team is rolling right now. They beat Wisconsin like 6-0. That's a good Wisconsin team. So a lot of stuff in the non-revs. Good weekend for the non-revs, even if the football bye week was a little concerning with the transitive property.
Thomas next. Nebraska's defense doesn't seem stout enough to overwhelm MSU next weekend, and I don't really trust Raiola. This game is absolutely a toss-up. Bonus. The season's long, and getting out of a losing spiral must be cathartic. I don't really mind the Tigers celebrating the playoff berth.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. You talked about this too. It is a weird place. Like we felt it from the perspective of watching it, but if you were living it to still make the playoffs, there must be some.
You have to celebrate, right? What are you supposed to get? Dixie cups out, pour out some apple juice, and all right, guys, let's move on. I get it.
Yeah,
I understand. But like I said, the not apologizing to the fan base a little bit. Not one of those guys. Sorry we put you through that. Maybe that's crazy. Professor, if MSU had one premier pass rusher, they would be headed to the playoff at 10-2. Just one? Bonus. Getting dark at 8 p.m. is the perfect time.
I don't mind it either. It's good, you got a Muskox flannel, you put it on, you go back out, you light the fire pit, you sit around, maybe have a s'mores, have a drink, whatever it might be.
8:45. I mean, that was better. That was nicer.
It sucks when it's 5 p.m., 5:30. That's when it sucks. But 8 p.m. is pretty good. I would take 8 p.m. year-round for sure.
Mojo Jojo. Hot. This is to use Graham's favorite astrology term, Saturn return of the SEC. Hashtag check out the constellations this fall in your Muskox flannel. What are these hashtags? Is this like a bit I don't know about? Or am I supposed to just keep playing along?
Yeah, just play along.
Baked. Jeez. Graham, get Steven Izzo on to preview MSU's basketball season. Would be a great listen, especially if you can get Chad Latz on the same episode. Hashtag worlds collide in Xfinity multi-view.
I think Steven Izzo would be a fun guest. I don't know if Chad Latz with Steven Izzo would
How dare you?
help. It just
go out there, play hard.
How dare you?
Stick your cleats so far up their asses that they've got to use the cleats to brush their teeth with.
I mean, what the hell are you talking about?
I'll be honest. I bet you we'd have a better chance having Steven Izzo on as a weekly guest.
Yeah.
For an hour every week.
Yeah.
Than having Chad Latz on once.
Oh, getting him on?
Yeah.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
It's impossible to. I screwed up. Like I don't know. In my relationship with Latz, I made a couple mistakes.
So is Latz like when
I don't think I made a mistake. Like I was really stoned one night, and I told him that because he was this was like 6 months ago, and he was believing what anyone said. So I was high as fuck. All right, I'm being honest. And I DM'd him, and I said, "Oh man, my grandpa used to own the L.A. Lakers because he's a big Laker fan. I don't know why. Like Jerry Buss was my grandfather, and he would believed. I don't know if he thought maybe I was goofing on him. I don't know. So I feel like I screwed up.
So wait a second.
I'm very nice to Chad. I do check in on him. I do care about Latz and all that stuff. But I feel like I've made one or two mistakes when stoned.
Hold on. You told him your uncle, your dad, or somebody who owned.
I told him my grandpa owned the Lakers,
and then
just to see if he would believe it. And he's like, "Oh man, that's amazing," and he did believe it. But then it was like. Then we didn't correspond for a little bit, and then I don't know. I screwed it up. I think he thinks like I'm just like constantly goofing on him.
Is that something you do to people randomly? Is just tell them your grandpa?
Well, no, he was on Twitter agreeing. I was like, what could I get Latz to agree to? He was on his own Twitter sphere doing it with people, and people were saying shit. I think they were believing what he was believing. That and I was just bored, and I was like, oh, let me see if Latz will believe if my grandfather owned the Lakers, right? Because he's a big fan of the Lakers.
Jesus.
It was really harmless. I wasn't trying to I know. So, but now he never responds. The guy loves himself. It's the biggest mind F on the planet. Latz loves hearing his voice, hearing himself, and I play his drops on here, and I'm a fan of Chad Latz, and, he just ignores us.
That is a story worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. Midtown Brewing Company, by the way, this Wednesday, launching their fall cocktails. Some great stuff they've created. The Cider Mill Margarita, Salem Sour, Van Gogh Martini, Cinnamon Roll, the Traverse City Cinnamon Roll. I don't know what that means. I should
so
double
delicious.
Check. The Cauldron Mule, Harvest Sangria. I should know my liquors
what
better.
What kind of mule?
The Cauldron Mule. Midtown Brewing Company. You can check that out on Facebook. Their full lineup, or just swing on by anytime. Starting this Wednesday, downtown Lansing, Midtown Brewing Company. Great place to watch a game, to have a dinner, to have a drink after work. Midtown Brewing.
I screwed up with Dombrowski too. because I was goofing on it. Like at the beginning, I goofed because he kept keep the stickers on his hat. And I was like, Tony, come on, take the stickers off. And I think he thinks I think he muted me because I can still see his tweets. So him and Lats, I'm just really bummed. I wish I could repair that relationship somehow. Couch on fire. Guardians living a charmed life, and with the Tigers barely surviving a colossal collapse, they have no chance, right? Perfect spot. Scooble Redemption Game 1, a Mize Gem, Javi Heroics. Lions DJ Reed, fabulous interception, and then, of course, shortly after injured. Q Graham.
At least he did the interception first, right? And he'll be back to do more of them later, but he's out for a while, which is perfect. It's everything you want. An short-term injury. Because if he's played next week, probably a long-term injury. I mean, look, I think the Tigers having to go through Cleveland is the only way it should be, given what Cleveland did to them. Look, they don't deserve. The only way they deserve to win a round is to have to do it in Cleveland, to exercise that demon.
Sure,
and that's the way I want it to be.
I'm just speaking selfishly for me. I mean, yeah, the Tigers, the team should have to do that. I should, as a fan, should not have to suffer through that again. Ken Chu, yes, Virginia, the New York Giants really did beat the San Diego Chargers.
A lot of injuries for the Chargers, too.
What does Virginia have to do?
I don't know. This must be
because they stormed the field against Florida State or something.
Yeah, Virginia's the team that Kirk Cignetti was afraid of, right? He wouldn't play them, and all of a sudden they're good now. Huh. Fascinating.
Ben Jen. Number 1, the Lions righting the ship is the best thing to have happened since Mussolini's death. 2, speaking of which, Couch during a bye week is peak entertainment. Mussolini, the Tigers, collapse is good for them. Crowing about Detroit losing both cornerbacks, assigning losses to teams whose schedule he doesn't approve of. I don't think I'd want to live in a world that Graham runs.
Oh, you'd love a world that I ran. It'd be exciting. It would be fun. Everything would be right if I had full power.
Can't be any worse than Biden, right? Lions reply guy, I'm looking to get hammered tonight. Planning on putting the pot on and drinking for every time Graham says his point about resting corners until week 11. Do not resuscitate, please.
Oh, you are going to be drunk, my friend. I'm sorry. This one's
not making it to this far. He's not going to hear this part.
We will not see Twitter questions from you, Lions reply guy, later
Rest
in the week.
Peace.
Yeah.
Eric Larson, as terrible as the season ended, there's no reason to think the Tigers couldn't suddenly get hot. They've done it before this season. If baseball has proven anything, it's that all you have to do is make it in.
It's the worst thing that could ever happen to baseball.
But do you have to make it in like that? You're not supposed to make it in like that.
They're not good.
Bro,
the Tigers are legitimately a below 500 team in terms of quality, I think. Or barely 500. And
can't argue against that.
And so if that's what wins the World Series, and that's who you are, then they've got to reshape everything to change the postseason.
I mean,
format.
if Olsen didn't get hurt and Job, I think you could talk differently about.
Well,
but
sure,
you're not wrong about the current roster. Yes.
Yeah. If the roster right now had to play another 162 games, do you think they'd go 500?
Sorry, I just thought about another 162. Oh man, what a grind that would be. Ben Kramer. Number 1, the Tigers are a good baseball team. Keep things in perspective. All right. 2, Victor Hovland getting a half point in the final day of the Ryder Cup is complete BS. He didn't play. Didn't realize you could get partial credit just for showing up. Drunk USA fans played more golf than him on Sunday. And 3, I've been hearing a lot of people complain about the fans at the Ryder Cup and how inappropriate they were. It's the USA golfers' fault. Play well and the fans don't have to act like animals. And bonus, MSU needs to recruit better or develop players better. Jonathan Smith has yet to show he can do either one. I'm giving him the rest of the year, but I expect big things next year, 9-3 at least.
I think this is the standard take at this point. People want a bowl game. They want to feel some momentum, and then next year becomes a pivotal year. I think that's what basically the bulk of the fan base. There are people who are completely out on him, and then there are those who are waiting to see, and then those who maybe believe in him a little more. But I think the standard thing is year 3 is important.
Doc Sportel next. Number 1, not that I want to watch that pathetic and prideless Tigers. The MLB playoff schedule is anti-fan. No reason all the games have to be on the same day. And 2, Couch, I can't believe you downplayed the open space tackling by MSU. Spartans might have been in the SC game if they made a few more. I don't know how you can dog Rossi when the defense is made up of D2 athletes. That's not on him. And Baked, did the Charlie Kirk incident create a 2016-like MSU political riff in the Tigers' locker room? The losing started on the same day.
And people pointed out the Trump dance, too, that day. I kept seeing that tweet. Yeah, I would tend to think that's not it. I think they don't have the pitching. It's more of an individual sport. They don't have the hitting. I don't think this is a locker room bit. I do think, though, look, you pick the players, and you may not have the resources that you need, and that's fine. And at some point, that needs to be stated. Although they should have it going forward. They should have the resources next year, based on what they have in rev sharing, based on a year with the AD in place, based on their supposed ability to and needed ability. They need to be able to adapt to whatever is the way you get players next year. They'll have the rev sharing money. If there is additional money that other schools are able to take advantage of, and another $5-10 million, Michigan State needs to be able to do that too. And that is the job of J-Bat. That's the job of the donors. That the job to adjust to whatever that is, and how you do that. That needs to happen.
On the playoff scheduling, why does the game have to be at 1 p.m. tomorrow? There's no football on to go up against it. I know we all have multiple TVs. You can have multiple different networks.
It sucks because it's not like I'm going to watch.
They don't have to be standalone games, do they?
No, and I'm probably not going to watch the night baseball, right? I mean, I might not, but I would. I mean, it's ass because.
But to have it on at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon
sucks for a lot of people. You wait all year, and if you're going to do that, at least give people Jason Benetti and let the Tigers have their local broadcasters.
Chris next. Oregon and Ohio State both win across the country and won tough games. It feels like they will dominate the Big Ten for many years to come, and MSU will be fighting for third place. And bonus, Minnesota celebrating beating Rutgers in September like you've won a title is the sign of an unserious program.
Winning is hard. They won a close game. They could have lost. I don't know.
Row the boat.
Yeah. Tigers
Good
celebrated
football.
after losing like 15 out of 20. So I don't know. It happens. You win, you celebrate.
Steve, the current live sporting event fan experience was the best exemplified by our U.S. Ryder Cup crowd. Loud, obnoxious, crude, and looking for a drunken fight. And from Pat Caverly. The Ryder Cup should never be played anywhere near New York City or the state of New York. What an embarrassment to the game of golf and the United States. Cheer for your team and show some respect for your opponents. Police and police dogs needed for the crowd control. Seriously? And from Munfield Keg. I saw somebody online refer to the U.S. Ryder Cup fans as boorish, and I can't think of a better word to describe them. What a terrible weekend on and off the course.
That's the thing. I think most people felt like you felt. It was just embarrassing. Like, what are we doing here? Like, let's I just it was.
And I forget who said it a couple before, but was saying blame the players, and that had something to do with it. But I think. Even if the United States the first 2 days was competing, there was still going to be people in those, the late afternoon.
Everybody should be responsible.
People, the booze was flowing. People were going to get after Rory no matter what.
Everybody should be responsible for their own behavior. And in 4 years, what you do is you get two choices: no phones, no booze. You can't have phones and booze.
Skylar Verdon, hot take, was just trying to watch and enjoy the Ryder Cup, but Trump had to try and make it all about him. Every feed on the Ryder Cup was just Trump at one point. I'm putting the loss on Trump for being a huge distraction. At least he got the attention he craves.
That's on the networks. They don't have to kowtow and make him the story everywhere. He just wants, if he wants to go and watch it, let him be.
See, I was going to blame Couch and his Guardians bet, even though it has nothing to do with the Ryder Cup or golf. I just like blaming Couch.
Thank you.
But then throw Trump on too. Dr. Patterson, take Trump jinxed the Ryder Cup. His visit emboldened too many U.S. fans to act like rude, loud, no-class MAGA morons. Bad luck, bad vibes for the losing U.S. team. And bonus. Better pitching and small ball will lead the Tigers to win in Cleveland, at least to avoid a sweep. And baked. A.J. Hinch returns to Astros for 2026.
I don't see it. I don't think he leaves. But, was his family still there? That's the only thing. I don't know if his family's still there. The Astros is the one club I would be curious about. The problem is, are they in the midst of a rebuild now? They're older. They're not. I don't know exactly the shape of that franchise. I don't know how appealing that would be roster-wise.
And you can cheat to win a World Series and just go back, and no one's going to talk about it.
That's the problem. Is
what?
That's sort of what he's always going to be tied to there. I don't know that you'd want to do that.
Belichick going back to the Patriots.
Yeah, and people are responsible for their own behavior. I'm not saying that Trump hasn't emboldened certain behaviors, but man, everybody's responsible for their own behavior. You're a fucking adult. Just try not to be an ass. That's it.
Kevin from Rochester Hills, Ryder Cup fans treated the Euros with great respect, and Javi Baez is the only reason the Tigers made the playoffs.
Well, yeah, I mean, without Javi Baez having the year he does, they don't make the playoffs. They barely made the playoffs as is, and
I apologize, Javi. I'm so So sorry I was hard on you last year.
No, he deserved.
No, it's my fault, man. It's my fault, Graham.
He deserved.
I should have
people.
thought about it longer.
He deserved people being hard on him.
I should have thought about it, man. It was my fault. Clint Bainey, number 1. We got our ass kicked at the Ryder Cup. Quit making excuses and move on. 2, I can't get used to seeing football players not wearing knee pads anymore. And 3, James Franklin. Are you serious?
The knee pads thing is weird. Like, I don't get these guys wearing, like, nothing with their knees. I get you're a second faster, maybe you think, but, like, I would make it mandatory that you had to wear knee pads. It would be part of your standard equipment. Like, you're taking helmets to the knees without knee pads?
Is this like riding a motorcycle with no helmet? You're just trying to be cool?
I think they do it for performance. I mean, I think that's because I was talking to Matt Mancarini about this, by the way. He played D3 football, and he said back in their day they all wore knee pads, but they would try to turn them up a little bit or cut certain parts behind it so it was a little thinner. I mean, it does make a difference, but, man, the way they wear them.
What position?
I think he was a linebacker. Yeah.
5-cent Phillies next. It was unseasonably warm during the bye week. Did you go outside or just scroll Twitter?
No, I was outside, Muskox flannel, watching 2 football games with the Muskox and watching Xfinity. It was great. It was great. And mowed the lawn, took a walk with my mother, all the good stuff.
Richard Kane. For what it's worth, Michigan winning a hoops title would be worse than football because while MSU and Michigan are the only schools to win national championships in football, basketball, and hockey, MSU is the only team to win multiple national championships in all 3. I'd like to keep it that way. And bonus, I hope none of your several one-on-ones with Tucker were late-night phone calls.
A couple of them are a little later, but we never had that issue.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for all of that.
Coach, Are you breathing hard? Are you okay? Or you're back.
I do think most people, this question was from Friday about what would be worse for Michigan State fans if Michigan won another title in football or in basketball. I think basketball is where MSU feels like its identity is still a little bit superior to Michigan, or at least, it's been on par, and it's Izzo, it's all that, and like it has something that Michigan doesn't more recently. I think it would be, I think it would be that.
Shep next. Let me get this straight. You skipped my takes from last Monday, but say in the show that you'll cover the rest of the missed Monday takes in the Wednesday question show. So I intentionally don't send in a question as my Monday takes would be covered. Instead, I didn't want to bogart airtime. And then none of the missed Monday takes were read on Wednesday. The fuck, Couch. I hope your treadmill lube evaporates and it's dry as hell for the rest of the time you own it.
Yeah, well, we were only doing 2 shows. It was a Thursday show. We had great Twitter questions and time. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're trying to be better.
Yeah, you definitely have to send those again, no matter what. Max, I'm a Spartan, but I kind of feel bad for the Penn State fan base. They had to deal with a double whammy on Saturday night. James Franklin's coaching and some pretty poor officiating. There were multiple blatant non-calls that had me repeating one of Rube's favorite sayings. College officials are ass. It's hard to beat good teams under those circumstances. Maybe T can work up some T-shirts for the next whiteout.
So everybody's wearing college officials or college refs are ass.
Yeah, we might have to shorten it to refs.
Refs,
officials.
Yeah. And people don't. Yeah,
letters.
Official sounds too
official.
Official. Yeah, it's a good way.
Too nice. Jarrett, get rid of the tight end position in fantasy football. Get rid of the tight end position in fantasy football. Just add tight ends as another receiver, and you can choose another receiver or tight end.
Sounds like somebody lost this weekend. Jarrett's like, fuck this, I'm getting this off the chest.
My wife's league, they were just arguing about kickers and defenses for like the whole games. The Craig Monroe of Southern Maine. Don't care what the results of Saturday's games are. I'm crushing UCLA plus the points Sunday morning.
Who's UCLA got? Hold on. UCLA football. Oh, UCLA is home to Penn State going across the country. I have to look what the points are. That is I don't know. Penn State made
38? 38 points?
That's a nerve-wracking bet. You see, hold your nose on that one.
Fart Soup Firekeepers is the best casino in the state. Me and Mrs. Soup were there Saturday night. I was hammering the slut machines and one slut machines?
Jesus.
Is that what it's supposed? Is that your typo?
No, I just didn't
slut
catch it.
machines and won $320. It's an easy drive from Lansing. No smoking on the casino floor and plenty of slots. Hey, Couch, tell the audience about Dacey's Sportsbook.
Dacey's Sportsbook and Tap Room. It's right there in 594 in Battle Creek. Unbelievable. You don't need to go to Vegas. It's right here. And you can have the in-house sportsbook experience right here in Michigan, or download the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook and enjoy it at the on your phone.
I like the smoke on the casino floor. I love the secondhand smoke. Makes me feel alive. Lucas, number 1, Puka Nacua is the best receiver in the NFL. And 2, the Lions and the Rams NFC title game collision course. And 3, Nebraska minus 11 and a hook seems very high. If it creeps closer to 14, I'd say MSU is a lock to cover. I'd still think they can win outright if Rossi can just come up with something.
It's not a 11.5 does seem high. It does. I don't think anything's a lock for this MSU team inside of 2 touchdowns. But I would be very hesitant to take Nebraska, to say the least.
Kurt Wisniewski, MSU football needs to win at Nebraska. My group of MSU fraternity brothers have been going to away games for over 15 years. Hopefully we will see Graham for a beer while in Lincoln. And Jason, will you be doing a remote with Couch in Lincoln?
It's not in the cards, not in the plan.
No.
Yeah. Lincoln's a great town. I enjoy it, and maybe we'll hook up, Kurt.
Balky, Bartogamus. Brian Lindgren is lucky this defense is so awful. Look beyond the point totals, and you see an inefficient, predictable, and faulty offense. There's a focus on establishing the run to the point of ignoring the playmakers. Childs needs to be throwing 30-plus times a game every game.
I don't know. I've liked what Lindgren's done in the last few games, and I think it's difficult too when you can't always run the football. I don't know. It's worth paying attention to, but they're putting up 31 points and they've got some talent, and I don't know. I have no issue with Lindgren's approach so far this season.
Matty B. Graham said Friday that it was hard for this MSU staff to compete last portal with thin resources. Swell. Maybe ignoring the average fan since NIL started wasn't a good strategy while we waited 12 years for revenue sharing. Great execution. And bonus, is it that effing hard for this athletic department to just tell us what the strategy is with NIL? Why is it like the Epstein files to know what the plan is? If we're done with collective, say so. Then tell us how you plan to compete with the teams who are doing that.
Well, I wrote about this, and Jay Batt talked about this when a few of us met with him. I mean, their plan is rev sharing. They're hoping the Scores Act passes. And then beyond that, legitimate NIL done through probably media partners and other things, and we'll see what that looks like. But mostly, the collective stuff is, or at least the pay-for-play element of that directly is something they're not planning on. So the question is then if others are, or if it adjusts, how you adjust. And that we'll see. Because, I think J-Bat is shrewd, but that is something you have to answer. You cannot allow yourself to fall behind because you want to play exactly by the rules when others don't.
Moneybag next. I don't care about Smith's personality on or off the field. You said on Friday the worst thing a team can do is have a glaring need that every fan sees and not properly addressing it. Then have it be the team's biggest weakness. I was asking damn near every show during the portal periods when we were going to add some good pieces to the defense, and we never did. Now we have possibly the worst defense in Power 4 football. That's what frustrates me so much about MSU football right now.
Yeah, they didn't get enough done in the offseason there. And I don't know for exactly, you have to think a lot of it's resources to a degree, but I think they thought they would be better up front. I don't think, they put their emphasis on some things offensively. They added some guys defensively, and there are some good parts there, but it is just not enough. And you can see the difference in a game like USC. When USC has guys who get in the defensive backfield, you got to get some of those guys. You either got to develop them or you got to sign them, and you got to prioritize them.
Jay Taylor, if the rumors about Jonathan Smith to UCLA are just that, when will he say he's down for MSU like 4 flat tires? Also, when will the powers that be decide that they want us to be a power and get more money for NIL? From Jay Batt's own words, it doesn't sound like they want to fundraise directly for it.
Well, they're trying to bring in more money and more creative ways of resources. It's not that they don't want to fundraise, but it's just the pay-for-play stuff that existed outside of the revenue sharing directly is something that, they're not alone. But with UCLA and it's such a bad job. I just can't imagine. It's just not something that it's such a bad job right now. Jonathan Smith has a better job and a job that I think fits him better.
Matt C. The MSU administration is blessed that 75% of MSU fans and donors have no standard or expectation of championships. With the product this football program has put out there the past decade, Spartan Stadium should look like the Rose Bowl. And bonus, Dominic comparing Rossi to Mussolini is the take of the year. John Noel Smith actually found someone worse than Scotty Hazelton and baked. Joe Rossi pees sitting down.
Jesus. Hey, I know a lot of good men who pee sitting down. If you have daughters or you have other things, sometimes you just that's the standard in the house. So let's not mock that.
It takes forever when I pee. I don't want to stand that long sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll sit down.
What are you going to do? Yeah. I think people do have. I think people have standards. I don't. You've said this a couple times, Matt. I think people have standards at Michigan State fans. I think that's why there's some frustration. I don't think it's an example of people not having standards.
Spartan Dog 97, Osama bin Rossi will make Drew Aller look like prime Peyton Manning.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. I think Aller is part of their weakness, but you got to get to him. He is a guy that if he has time is a good quarterback. That'll be a great example of if they don't, they will get housed by Penn State if they don't get to Drew Aller.
Am I skipping anybody here, or what are we doing here?
No, we're good. We got an extra minutes.
Graham, you say you are a whiz with logistics, so why in the hell can't you get your work schedule and this show schedule dialed in? You know when your articles are due. You know when the coaches speak. You know what time Liz has set your curfew. Now get your shit together, man.
Couple things. One, biggest mistake, Elizabeth does not like to go by Liz.
I was about to say, dude, he's calling her Liz.
Oh, my God. That is like she would rather be called a C-U-N-T than Liz.
Huh?
Yeah. So she actually doesn't hate that word for whatever reason.
You spell it.
Yeah, no. This isn't my job.
C-U-N-T.
This isn't my job. Can you imagine taking 5 hours out of the middle of your workday twice a week? I enjoy it. We do it. My bosses put up with it, but it's sometimes a difficult thing to maneuver.
All right, Sports Guy 1919. Trump being at the Ryder Cup, Spawn and Bradley doing the dance along with other Detroit athletes, Tigers players, is awesome. Reminds us that the majority of people voted for him despite what liberal journalists like Graham try to portray otherwise.
Yeah, I'd be interested if the election was today, what it would look like. But you're right. A lot of people are on. I don't think Trump being at the Ryder Cup is an issue. That there are lots of things you can have issues with the administration. People should pick their battles, and Trump showing up to the Ryder Cup should not be one of them.
Hans Jurgen, number 1, buy crypto. You'll be gambling 24/7, even when you sleep. And 2, Flacco's back-to-back quarterback sneaks was elder abuse. Call the hotline. And 3, whatever strategy the Tigers had in September, they should do the opposite in October. They are in the playoffs only because the Sox played their backup. Bonus. If MSU gives up 40 to Nebraska, it will be time to panic. And double bonus, I'm quite flatulent, even though I'm eating healthier.
40 to Nebraska is a problem, right? There's a point where this defense is, this is a game where, and look, the defense doesn't have to be amazing, but you want to keep it around 30 to give your own self a shot, but also Nebraska has not shown themselves to be that prolific offensively. That would be a real trouble.
Jake Hawkins, number 1, Tigers. Look, I'm glad you made the postseason for the second year in a row, but let me ask this. Why in the hell are you guys popping bottles over making the postseason, especially when on the road and blowing a chance at the division, which you should have won? And 2, if MSU's defense doesn't look like they've regrouped during the bye week come Saturday in Lincoln, it's going to make me make me wish we got Mike Elko as head coach. You would have fixed the D. Plus, look where Texas A&M is. And 3, Jason, you haven't seen the Simpsons episode with Pinchy the Lobster yet?
Sounds like you need to YouTube that and see it. Texas A&M has more money, and that's simply what it comes down to. They spent a lot of money on that defensive front, and they've got boosters. I mean, if that's their priority and that's what they wanted to do, and that's not on Jonathan Smith. Jonathan Smith might have down there done what Mike Elko has done.
And finally, the Upper Deck Jerk Guy. The Lions may have a problem in the defensive backfield. A trade may be in order. And bonus, football should get rid of kickers and punters.
The kicking game's too much a fun part of it. I don't know. I like. First of all, Michigan State needs the punters. It's their best thing. But clutch field goals. You got to keep kickers and punters. I understand. You're not alone in thinking that, Upper Deck Jerk Guy. We appreciate all of you. Thanks for producing our show as always. We're glad we got through all the hot takes, and we'll try to make sure that's a regular occurrence from now on. We appreciate Muskox. Go to gomuskox.com. Order your flannel today, and if you have an ugly picture of yourself, send it in. We'll do a call out for it as well. The person who makes themselves look the absolute hideous will win a Muskox flannel, courtesy of me. Again, gomuskox.com. Peacock for $15 off. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. Enjoy their fall martinis starting this Wednesday. And, of course, our friends at Xfinity. Join the Xfinity Multi-View. Go to Xfinity.com and type in your address for your best deals. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.